in order to help me succeed in the postgraduate entrance exam. My grandma actually asked me to send her my admission ticket number, so she could pull some strings for me. I refused and said, "Grandma, this is the national exam. Using connections is illegal." However, my grandma casually sent me a voice message. Her tone was arrogant as she said, "The person I'm pulling strings with isn't bound by the law." I was shocked. I quickly and quietly asked my dad about it. That's when I found out. The connection my grandma mentioned was Bodhisattva. So I relaxed and sent her my admission number. But to my surprise, the day after my results came out, I got reported. The school called me in for questioning. They showed me a screenshot of my WeChat conversation with my grandma. I was utterly stunned, because the only people who could access my chats were my family or my girlfriend, Willow. I am burning with rage. How did I give birth to parents like this? Chapter 1. I was speechless, facing 3 stern university administrators and 2 graduate exam professors. I directly showed them my WeChat conversation with my dad. I said, "Look, this is my grandma's connection. She appears to pray only to Bodhisattva. But behind the scenes, she's into Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism." After the exam, she admitted all this to me herself. The administrators and professors were also speechless. If praying to gods and spirits counts as pulling strings, then how many test takers in the country haven't done the same? In the end, they just gave me a few comforting words and let me go. But I narrowed my eyes and asked, "Who reported me?" One of the leaders said, "It was an anonymous report. We don't know who it was." The report came from a non-verified Gmail account, sent to the Ministry of Education's exam office. The ministry informed the school and asked them to verify the content. Heh, whatever. I'll find out who the snitch is myself. The image they showed of my WeChat chat with my grandma was clearly a photo taken of my phone screen, meaning the snitch is someone close to me. Lately, only my family, my dorm mates, and my girlfriend have had access to my phone. My family can be ruled out. As for the others, they all know I come from a regular background, with no special connections. They've seen how hard I worked, waking up at 6, sleeping at midnight every day for 6 months to study. So if they saw my chat with my grandma, and chose to secretly snap a picture and report me instead of asking, there's nothing but malice in that act. When I got back to the dorm, my 3 sworn brothers were huddled together, eating fried noodles with fermented herring. When they saw me, they immediately invited me to join their pungent bonding session. Watching these 3 college dudes, snatching fried eggs from each other's bowls with such pure, stupid joy, I found myself less suspicious of them. I mean, anyone who enjoys fermented herring can't be that evil, right? I cleared my throat, deciding to tell them the truth and get their help in analyzing the situation. I asked, "Someone reported me for cheating on the grad exam. Who do you guys think it was?" "Not me." All 3 responded in eerie unison. Bob said, "I've been busy with my internship, and we've got no beef. Reporting you does nothing for me." Chuck said, "We didn't even apply to the same school, and I scored pretty well myself. Why would I report you?" Billy said, "My family's rich." I nodded and said, "You all reek the same way. I trust you, but now, I need your help to figure out who did it." I laid my sincerity on the table. "If you brothers can help me find out who snitched, I'll treat you all to a luxury feast." Bob, Chuck, and Billy instantly sat up straight. Faces serious. Bob asked, "So who are the suspects on your end?" I said, "David and Willow." I named my other close friend and my girlfriend. They're the only ones, besides you guys and my family, who could have had the chance to snap that screenshot. Bob and Chuck exchanged a glance. "This just got spicy," they said, and just like that, the 2 of them suddenly became awkward and hesitant. David, my bro, had known me since elementary school. Willow, my girlfriend, was my high school classmate. We'd known each other for too long to even suspect them felt offensive. Luckily, Chuck was quick on the uptake. He suddenly said, like a slap of cold water waking us up, "But neither of them are even taking the post-grad exam. Why would they report you?" Bob nodded. "Exactly," Billy chimed in. "But if it's not us, and not them, then the one who reported George must be." The 3 of them looked at me with faces full of sympathy. A chill ran down my spine. Could it really have been someone in my own family who reported me? That didn't make sense. I'm the only child. My family's not rich, but it's not like they can't afford grad school. Besides, they're counting on me to succeed. Why would they sabotage me? When something doesn't make sense, stop thinking and start asking. That's what mouths are for, not just eating. I immediately called my old man. In a few words, I explained what happened and the analysis my roommates and I had done. My dad instantly flew into a rage. "In the eyes of reckless boys, we're but flies. The gods kill us for sport." He started quoting Shakespeare's King Lear, ranting in theatrical despair. "Okay, I'd wrongly accused my family. I mean, a dad who can recite King Lear is unlikely to be the kind who'd report his own son. I quickly apologized and promised to cover for him next time he sneaks out to go fishing, thus patching up our fragile father-son bond. Just then, I heard my grandma's voice through the phone. She said, "What's the big deal? I'll look into it for you. Give me a few minutes." Then she hung up. Bob, Chuck, and Billy all looked at each other. They asked, "Wait. Grandma can do that kind of thing?" I said, "Beats me." 5 minutes later, the phone rang again. As soon as I picked up, I heard my grandma declare with absolute confidence, "It was that Willow girl, or whatever her name is, your girlfriend." Turns out, my grandma is basically the real-life Sherlock Holmes, a three-dimensional Detective Conan. I asked, "Grandma, how the heck did you find out?" The four of us huddled together, ready for a masterclass in logic. Grandma said, "I asked Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva told me." "George, you gotta trust me. Bodhisattva is never wrong." I was speechless. After I hung up, Chuck hesitantly suggested, Maybe you should give Willow a call. Try fishing for a reaction. Desperate times call for desperate measures." Fine. I took my phone and headed to the balcony. Not that I didn't trust Bob, Chuck, and Billy. It's just, I have a bit of a manly pride issue. And didn't want them to witness me simping hard on the phone. After a long, emotional 30-minute call, I came back from the balcony. Face dark, phone warm from the heat of frustration. They had finished all the food. Not even a drop of soup left for me. Chuck asked, "So, what happened?" I cursed. Damn it, it was that sneaky witch. When Willow answered the phone, her voice was shaky, clearly guilty. I casually bragged about my score and said I'd take her to that Michelin restaurant she'd been going on about. Normally, she would have jumped at the offer, but this time, she said I'd be stressed with grad school soon and didn't want to waste my money. This is a girl obsessed with money, and now she suddenly doesn't want to spend mine. If that's not a red flag, I don't know what is. Bob, Chuck, and Billy were speechless. The dorm fell into a silence like nap time. After a few minutes, Chuck broke the quiet. His eyes sparkled as he said, "So can you give us your grandma's WeChat? I've got something I want to ask her." Bob and Billy both raised their hands. Me too, damn it. After I shared my grandma's WeChat contact, they immediately got down to brainstorming. Why Willow would do something like this. My exam results were voided, but what did she gain? Finally, they came to a conclusion. Maybe we should have Grandma ask her connections again. Chapter 2. I asked my grandma. She said that as college students in the new era, we should believe in science and not be overly superstitious or feudal-minded. She told me to go ask Willow myself. Actually, her exact words were, "She had the nerve to report you, and you're too embarrassed to confront her, and you're still not breaking up with her. Don't tell me you're a simp just like your uncle's son." I felt insulted. Granted, I am a bit of a simp, but I absolutely refuse to be compared to Martin. Martin just graduated from college and works as a game booster. He got involved with a streamer girlfriend whom he only sees once or twice a year. Despite making $500,000 a year, he hands all his earnings over to her. Meanwhile, he can't even afford a 15 yuan takeout meal. Maybe that gold digger took a masterclass in psychological manipulation or something, because Martin regularly posts emotional WeChat updates like, "She doesn't take money from anyone else, only from me, because she loves me." When people try to warn him not to get scammed, he just retreats into his shell, saying, "She's different." So yes, my grandma seriously disrespected me. I angrily closed our WeChat chat and opened Willow's. I texted her, "Willow, have you had dinner?" Yeah, I was planning to use dinner as an excuse to get her to meet up, then confront her hard and break up. But Willow replied, "Already ate." Already ate. I actually wanted to eat with you, but since I'm dieting recently, I ate early. Hubby, I'm going to bed now. I had a low-calorie meal and I'm afraid I'll get hungry and can't sleep. I'll come find you in the morning. Okay, let's have breakfast together. I was just about to reply with something like, "Babe, you don't need to diet," when Bob grabbed my hand. With a face full of disbelief, he said, "Are you freaking dumb? You still don't get it?" I asked, "Get what?" He said, "It's obvious she's got something planned tonight and didn't want you bothering her. That's why she pretended to go to bed early. She's basically telling you, don't contact me tonight." So that's what it was. Seems like I've completely failed at this whole dating thing. Bob said, "Check where she's going tonight." He took my phone, clearly excited. Bob is into studying dorm room crime cases. He knows his stuff when it comes to investigating. First, he checked her TikTok follows, then her WeChat friends, then looked into her family plan connections, and finally tracked down a rideshare payment of 17.8 yuan. Willow's school is in the suburbs. There's a direct bus to downtown, but taking a cab would cost at least 30 yuan. So clearly, she didn't take a cab to the city center. Bob speculated. I remember a new shopping mall just opened on the south side of the city. From her school, a ride there would cost about 17 yuan. I swear I could cry. He's cracking a mystery and still finds time to give the gold digger a nickname. He said, they're up to something tonight. I'm not busy. I'll go with you and check things out. Before I could say anything, Bob had already slung on his backpack and was waiting for me at the dorm door. All right then, I'm coming. We quickly called a cab and headed for the mall on the south side of town. It was a bit far, at least a half-hour ride. On the way, Bob seemed deep in thought. Then suddenly he asked, you still have your girlfriend's Hotpot membership account, right? I remember a year ago when our dorm went out for Hotpot. You used her membership. I was confused. You want Hotpot? Didn't you just finish fried noodles? I was a little stunned. Maybe the brainstorming burned so many calories he'd already digested his noodles. Bob cursed. I honestly don't know how your brain managed to score such high marks. He smacked me on the head. Frowning, he said, fucking stupid. I meant you should log into her membership and check if she placed a Hotpot order. It all suddenly made sense. No college student can resist Hotpot, and no shopping mall opens without a Hotpot place inside. If Willow was secretly on a date with someone, Hotpot was a very likely scenario. I quickly logged into her account, and bingo. Someone had placed an order using her Hotpot membership. The worst part, the receipt was full of all my favorite dishes. Pig brain, duck blood, beef tripe, and more. I was instantly furious. Every time I paid for Hotpot, she'd act all picky and ban me from ordering those dishes. She'd say they made her nauseous and that I had zero emotional intelligence. Who brings a girl to a date and orders gross stuff like that? And that wasn't even the worst. One time she saw me using a group discount coupon and told me that using deals was disrespectful to women, as if it meant I thought she wasn't worth full price. Back then, I was so flustered I snapped. If you're not paying, then shut up. Whoever pays decides otherwise. You pay. She immediately turned on the waterworks, playing the emotional guilt card, saying she hadn't graduated yet, had no money for eating out, that her family favored boys over girls and barely gave her an allowance. She cried about how tough her childhood was and how all she wanted was to be a little spoiled by me. And here I was being cold and mean. Honestly, I was just too thirsty for her body and didn't care about the money. So I caved. But now, looking at that Hotpot order, I was boiling inside. Bob tried to comfort me, saying, don't get too worked up. At least we know the gold diggers at the Hotpot place. Saves us the trouble of sweeping the whole mall looking for her. We soon arrived at the mall. Bob dragged me straight to the basement level where the Hotpot place was located. The staff were super welcoming. For once, my brain worked fast. I told them, an old friend is inside eating. We haven't seen each other in ages. I want to surprise her. The waiters immediately caught on and subtly turned away, pretending not to see us. The restaurant wasn't too big, so it didn't take long before we spotted Willow in a corner booth. Sitting across from her was a guy. Bob muttered, wait a sec, is she out of her mind? She cheats on you and reports you. I couldn't make sense of it either, but the guy did look familiar. Half crouched behind a chair, I stared hard at him. I saw him scooping meat into Willow's bowl, wiping her mouth, and telling her jokes that made her laugh like crazy. That bastard. What was there left to observe? I stormed right over. Willow froze, stunned. You, what are you doing here? I gritted my teeth. Didn't you say you already ate dinner? What the hell is this? I spoke as I tensed up, ready to slap her across the face. But the next second, a male voice cut in. Bro, what's going on? I turned and looked, and to my shock, it was Willow's brother, Makoto. He smiled and said, George, it's a misunderstanding. I'm Makoto, remember? My sister hasn't done anything to betray you. He continued. George, she and I actually wanted to invite you too, but Willow said you've been super stressed with exams lately, and your stomach's been acting up so you can't eat spicy food. So we decided to come secretly. Didn't want to tempt you or make you feel bad. Come on. Bro, you're not seriously mad about this, are you? They took turns explaining, one sentence after another, and my big dramatic moment fizzled out midair. I just stood there, awkward and frozen. Bob suddenly cut in. What are you talking about? Let me tell you something. My brother George is famously known as the Komodo dragon of City A. That man's stomach is made of iron and runs on weird food like a machine. He could down 3 bowls of boy pea soup and still ask for dessert. And you call this spicy? Please. George wouldn't even blink if you poured chili water straight into his eyes. Bob grinned and added, today he just felt like eating light, so he dragged me out for Hotpot. If we'd known you hadn't had dinner yet, George wouldn't have brought me along. He was quick on his feet, and after saying that, he casually glanced at the table and said to me, George, look at this, these are all your favorite dishes. Huh? With the conversation laid out like that, Makoto had no choice but to go along and invite us to sit and eat with them. Maybe it was because everyone had their own secrets, but the meal was oddly quiet. Bob, of course, was the only one having the time of his life. By the end of the meal, he'd ordered 5 extra portions of shrimp balls, 4 of pig brain, 3 of beef tripe, and 2 of duck blood sausage, and packed them all to go. Makoto's face grew darker with each added dish. Willow finally couldn't take it anymore. She said, clearly annoyed, "George, what's up with your roommate? Fine if he's eating, but packing food too. My brother's still a student working part-time. He doesn't have that kind of money." "Huh?" Bob looked up blankly. "Is packing food not allowed? We still have 2 other roommates waiting back at the dorm. George used to treat everyone. And didn't you used to take leftovers home for your roommates too?" Makoto forced a smile and said, "It's fine. Pack as much as you want." Then he shot Willow a look and added, "If it's not enough, we can order more." Bob didn't hold back. He added 2 portions each of beef rolls, chicken rolls, and lamb rolls to the list. When it came time to pay, Makoto's hand was visibly shaking. Bob's backpack finally proved useful. It fit all the takeout boxes perfectly. After we left the hot pot place, Willow turned to me and said, "It's getting late. I should head back now." It was only 8 p.m. Before I could say anything, Bob chimed in, "Yeah, better head back soon. Any later and the food will get cold." Willow let out a quiet breath of relief, then pressed her lips together and said, "George, you and your roommate head back first. My brother will take me home." Bob replied casually, "Cool, we'll go first then." He pulled me along, and under Willow's gaze, we walked out of the mall's main entrance. 5 minutes later, we came back. We saw Willow and Makoto walking side by side into the elevator. It stopped on the 4th floor. Bob and I took the next one up. We followed them and saw them go straight into the cinema. I pulled out my phone and checked the theater schedule. At 8:15 p.m., a romantic movie was starting. What the actual hell? Willow and Makoto are playing that kind of game. What kind of sick forbidden kink is this? Back when I was chasing Willow, Makoto helped me out so much. If they were secretly dealing with things in-house the whole time, then why bring me into it? I suddenly thought of those special videos I've seen. Don't tell me I was part of their forbidden roleplay. Jesus Christ, that's just disgusting. Chapter 3. Back at the dorm, Bob and I immediately updated Chuck and Billy on everything. They were so disgusted they nearly dropped their shrimp balls. Billy suddenly said, "Wait, something doesn't add up." He continued, "Makoto has a girlfriend." I asked, "How do you know that?" This just kept getting more and more twisted. Billy explained, "Remember when we were talking in the group chat about outrageous dating stories? One of my friends from a campus club mentioned his roommate had a goddess of a girlfriend. She literally bought him a Switch as a holiday gift, and that roommate was Makoto." Billy said, "Hold on, let me go confirm a few things." He pulled up that friend's WeChat and started hammering out a message. 20 minutes later, the whole story came out. Willow was that goddess girlfriend who spent money on her men, and she and Makoto, not actual siblings like Willow had told me, they were childhood friends, neighbors, basically grew up together. Even worse, Makoto was aiming for the exact same graduate program, same school, same advisor as me, and that advisor had already announced he would only take 1 student this year. Makoto's exam score, lower than mine. So now we knew exactly why Willow reported me for cheating. Chuck frowned. "That's sick. I can't eat anymore." He couldn't even hold his chopstick steady. I was just as nauseated. I'd been dating Willow for over a year. Out of 10 dates, Makoto showed up for at least 8 of them, always saying he worried about her safety and had to personally pick her up and drop her off. But he was smooth with words, always calling me his bro, and after a few drinks, he'd even get emotional, telling me that he approved of me as his future brother-in-law, that he felt good knowing Willow was in my hands. I never thought anything of it, just assumed they were close siblings. Willow had even told me, "If we end up together and my dad doesn't approve, my brother can vouch for you." I was so naive. I really thought I'd lucked out with a chill future brother-in-law. I completely fell for Makoto's bro routine. I paid for his stuff, helped him out, anything from cigarettes and bottled water to covering his rent and plane tickets. Willow told me their family was struggling financially, and Makoto's part-time job income had to go toward household expenses. That's why he couldn't return the favor. I didn't think much of it, figured it was just me doing my part. You ask why I was such a sucker? Because Willow was beautiful, and a master of emotional blackmail. She was constantly manipulating me. She'd say things like, "Is this really that expensive? I give you emotional value too, don't I? You think dating me doesn't cost money? Me showing up with full makeup, just sitting there, that's already me paying my share." She even seriously said, "After we get married, to keep you from spending irresponsibly, you should hand over your salary. Not for me to use, but so we can build a shared account. I'll save it for us, and if you ever need anything, you can come to me, and I'll help, within reason." Of course I didn't agree with that logic, but I thought maybe she was just trying to plan our future. She was young, Maybe her values hadn't fully matured yet. People change with time, right? But now I realized she was nothing but a manipulative, shameless scammer. She played with my heart, stole my money, and even tried to sabotage my academic future by reporting me. I was blind, completely blind. Bob leaned in and asked, "What are you gonna do?" I smiled. "They like playing games." "Huh, then I'll give them a damn good show." A plan was already forming in my head. I'd make sure Makoto failed the grad school exam. I'd make sure Willow got fired from her internship. I'd expose all the filthy things they did, and I'd make them apologize to me, face to face. Chapter 4. What's the first step? My roommates were full of curiosity, not willing to miss a single detail of how I would tear that gold digger apart. I pulled out my phone and showed them, saying, "The first step is to transfer money to the gold digger." On the screen was a WeChat message from Snake Willow. "George, your roommate packed way too much food tonight. My brother was afraid you'd be embarrassed, so he paid for it first. It was $478 in total. Let's split it. You know, my brother doesn't have much money right now. That's his whole week's living expense." All three of them immediately made a synchronized gagging gesture. Bob sneered. "A whole week's living expense? If they're that broke, how do they still have time to go to the movies? Based on the time, the movie isn't even halfway through, and she couldn't wait until it's over to ask you for money," I said. "She's testing me." My thoughts were crystal clear now, I explained. "We showed up unexpectedly tonight. She's worried I might suspect something between them, so she's deliberately asking for money now, to test my reaction. Otherwise, she'd have waited until tomorrow morning." Of course, I wasn't willing to pay this kind of nonsense money, but if I wanted to go through with my plan to get back at them, I had to keep things calm first. While my roommates clicked their tongues in disdain, I transferred $239. Snake Willow didn't accept it and sent it back. Bob looked surprised. "She was really just testing you." A second later, a new message popped up from Snake Willow. "Babe, you miscalculated. You and your roommate, plus the 2 roommates you brought food for, that's 4 people. You should be paying $318.66. Bob slapped himself in the face, ashamed of his naivete. I sent $319 over. She accepted it instantly. After pocketing the money, Snake Willow sweetly reminded me to get some rest, and then calmly went back to watching her movie. The next morning, just like she said she would, Willow came by with breakfast. I deliberately ignored her calls and let her wait. She waited a full 30 minutes. When it was clear she was getting annoyed, Bob finally went downstairs with a look of exaggerated reluctance to meet her for me. He said, "Go back. George drank a lot last night. He's not in the mood to see you." Bob had his phone on speaker, broadcasting everything to me via voice call. Willow asked, "What happened? Did something go wrong?" Her voice was laced with tension and confusion. Bob let out a long sigh, then started cursing wildly. No idea which brain-dead bastard with no asshole reported George's postgraduate exam results. The school said the higher-ups are investigating strictly this time. They'll try to help him, but chances aren't great. You know how hard George has been studying these past few months. Who the hell is so heartless, with a soul as dead as their whole family, to report him knowing he's clean? Willow, don't you think so? People like that deserve to get hit by a car when they step outside. That would be karma catching up. Willow stammered. Well, that, on our end, Chuck, Billy, and I were dying trying not to laugh, worried the sound would carry over. Bob wasn't letting up. He kept pushing. "Willow, you're George's girlfriend. He really likes you. You need to stand by his side on this. Come on, say it with me. The person who reported George should get hit by a car." After a long silence, Willow's trembling voice finally came through. "The person who reported George should get hit by a car." Bob nodded and said, "Good. Give me the breakfast. You go home first. When George feels a bit better, he'll give you a call." He probably couldn't hold it in any longer and quickly ended the scene. When he came back to the dorm, we were all laughing our heads off. He threw the breakfast straight into the trash with a look of disgust. "Your girlfriend is something else. A full-blown gold digger. Even scam artists know to give you a little candy first. She brings you 2 buns and can't even bother with a drink." That afternoon, after barely pulling myself together, I called Willow. Over the phone, I told her, "Let's not see each other for a while." Willow sounded a bit panicked. "Babe, did I do something wrong?" "Don't ignore me," I said. "It's not that you did anything wrong. I'm just in a bad mood." My tone was gloomy. "My parents want me to go back home for a couple of months to take a break. They're trying to help me find a job." To keep her calm, I forced myself to say something nauseatingly sweet. "Willow, now that I didn't get into grad school, do you think I'm a loser? Do you look down on me?" Willow let out a breath of relief and switched to a soft, pitiful tone. "Babe, how could you think that of me? I love you for who you are, not for your degree. Okay, you go home and get some rest. When you're feeling better, I'll take you out to clear your head. Didn't we say we'd go to Disney together?" Even at a time like this, She was still trying to squeeze money out of me. Truly consistent. After I hung up, I dragged my suitcase and walked out of the dorm. I really was going home, but it was to prepare seriously for the graduate school re-exam. My dad's boss has a daughter who's in grad school at the university. Yesterday, the boss invited my dad to go fishing. During their chat, my dad mentioned that my girlfriend had reported me during grad school admissions. The boss got even angrier than my dad and insisted that his daughter help me by sharing her experience and tips for the re-exam. My dad of course agreed, then immediately called me to come home. Our home is near B University, so staying there would make it easy for me to ask the boss's daughter for help anytime. Chapter 5. My dad's boss had a daughter named Anna, super outgoing and lively. We agreed to meet at a Starbucks. She flashed a playful smile and opened with, "As long as you follow my lead, I guarantee your grad school interviewer will be begging to take you." She was genuinely nice, a little too pretty, though. I had met Anna's father before. Square face, thick beard, strong brow ridge, sharp eyes. He didn't exactly look like a thug, but he did give off that intimidating, no-nonsense aura. Who would have thought his daughter would turn out to be so adorable, with a face straight out of a celebrity photo shoot? Who wouldn't get a little dizzy after seeing that? But Anna's father was my dad's boss. How I behaved directly affected my dad's reputation. My dad worked hard raising me for over 20 years. I couldn't possibly repay his kindness with betrayal. So, I forced myself to recall every way Willow had wrecked my mental health over the past year, making sure my heart was sealed in concrete, before I calmly introduced myself to Anna. "Hi, I'm George." Anna smiled and replied, "I know. My dad's mentioned you before. He said your zodiac lacks the water element, so that's why you love eating fish." That smile made me lose focus again for a second. I quickly reminded myself about how Willow had ratted me out to protect Makoto. Worked like a charm, my concrete seal got an instant upgrade. In the following days, I prepped for the re-exam seriously, following the outline Anna had made for me. Somehow Anna had a lot of free time. Every few days she'd ask me out to check my progress. My grandma was also free, very free. She reconnected with one of her old connections and came to tell me that, according to her source, my romantic star is about to rise, and I should get ready. The romantic star supposedly signals incoming romance. Who knows? I've only ever heard that cheesy phrase from my grandma, or seen it in old novels. Between cramming for the re-exam, dealing with Anna's pop quizzes, and humoring my grandma, my days were packed. At first, Willow still messaged me on WeChat to chat, but I didn't want to bother replying. So I told her I was too busy to check my phone. I made up a story that my uncle asked me to babysit his second child for 200 yuan a day, and I was saving it all up to buy her a birthday present. Willow was thrilled and finally stopped bothering me, but she kept posting on her WeChat feed those grading 9 photo selfie grids at her office, always paired with some nauseating love guru captions. If Billy hadn't sent me screenshots of Makoto's WeChat posts, I might have actually believed her lies. Apparently, they thought I had been officially disqualified from the re-exam due to the report, and with Makoto's decent test scores, he felt confident he had it in the bag. So he and Willow had been traveling around the area together this whole time. Billy, in order to gather intel for me, hung out with one of Makoto's roommates a few times over drinks. They actually became brothers. The travel photos Billy sent me were all screenshots from that roommate. Anyone who saw those WeChat posts would say the same thing. A perfect example of a happy cheating couple. Finally, a month and a half went by. 1 week left until the re-exam. Makoto returned to school to prepare seriously, and I went back to my university, ready to make my move. Makoto and Snake Willow went to the same university. I was from another college in the same city. The day I got back to campus, I gave Billy a quick heads up and then called Willow to invite her out for dinner. She was a little surprised I was back in town, and hesitant. After all, she and Makoto had just returned from their trip and were still tired. So I added, "Bring your brother. Let's go have seafood buffet. After dinner, we'll hit the mall." The shoes he wanted, and the clothes and makeup you've been eyeing, it's all on me today. Willow hesitated no more. She said, "Looks like your uncle gave you quite a bit of money. I'll tell my brother to meet you at the downtown mall." After hanging up, I double-checked with Billy, "Your people are in place, right? They have to show up the moment we meet. I don't want to spend another damn cent on that cheating couple." He said, "Relax. When I handle things, you can trust me." With Billy's guarantee, I headed out immediately. Before long, I met up with Willow and Makoto at the mall entrance. Makoto enthusiastically called me bro and said he had his eye on a gaming laptop. Planning to squeeze a big one out of me. Right then, a group of people came rushing toward us. They had mics, cameras, reflectors, and matching uniforms with a big logo that read Streetwise Stories. This was the street interview crew Billy had hired for me, with the power of money. Streetwise Stories is a local video crew, kind of like a mini version of a TV show like Catch 21 or Consumer Watch. Not as famous as national programs, but pretty well known in our city. The crew started by asking the three of us about our relationship. Willow and Makoto had never been interviewed on the street before, so they were still in shock. I, on the other hand, played the role of a naive but cheerful college student, and answered loudly. I'm a senior at a nearby university. This is my girlfriend, Willow, and this is her full-blood biological brother, Makoto. The interviewer smiled and said, sounds like you and your girlfriend have a very stable relationship. She even brings family along on dates. Of course, I replied seriously. My girlfriend says her brother doesn't feel comfortable letting her come out with me alone. So every time we go on a date, he tags along. But Makoto and I are super tight too. Just now he was saying he wanted me to buy him a laptop. Willow and Makoto finally snapped out of it. Their expressions instantly changed. Makoto stepped in front of the crew, trying to block the cameras. I insisted on filming. Willow accused me of being too obsessed with attention. Makoto scolded me for making decisions on my own and doing a street interview without asking. I just gave them an indifferent look and said, it's just a street interview. What's the big deal? With all the chaos, accusations, and scuffling, the Streetwise Stories crew didn't dare continue filming. They packed up their gear and retreated in a flash. Only then did Willow and Makoto breathe a sigh of relief. They thought a poorly executed street interview like that would never get released. But little did they know, the power of money is limitless. Billy, being a rich second gen, could easily buy the right to have that video published. My purpose for meeting with Willow and Makoto today had already been achieved. Why stick around? Just to spend money on that cheating couple? Hell no. I immediately accused the two of embarrassing me in front of strangers, then turned and stormed off without hesitation. I jumped into a cab and left. Meanwhile, those two were still standing there mourning the lost seafood buffet, lost clothes, lost makeup, and lost laptop. As soon as I got in the car, I blocked Willow on every single platform. Back at school, our dorm had a small dinner party. After eating, we all gathered to plan the next step. Billy had an apartment in town. To avoid getting pestered by Willow in the coming days, he said I should go live at his place. On the day of the re-exam, we'd head out from there, just a 2-hour drive to my exam school. He asked Chuck and Bob if they wanted to stay at his place too. Both declined. Chuck had applied to a school in another province and was leaving in a couple of days. Bob, on the other hand, loved drama. He wanted to stay in the dorm to watch Willow crash and burn. He still hadn't cursed her out enough, was hoping for a second round. So we went our separate ways. I followed Billy to his apartment. It was in a great spot, quiet and peaceful. That very night, the Streetwise Stories TikTok page posted the street interview from that afternoon. Of course, they didn't post it as a standalone clip. There wasn't much content on its own. It would have just gotten swiped past. The Streetwise Stories team was actually really nice. They edited together a compilation of college student fairy tale love stories and used our clip as the opener. Using my alt account, I jumped into the comments section and tagged the official TikTok account of Willow and Makoto's university. I wrote, "Holy crap, students from your school, I want this kind of relationship too. Forget Tsinghua and Peking University, I'm applying to your school this year." Willow and Makoto's school was just an ordinary, privately run third-tier college. How could it possibly be compared to top-tier schools? Most of Streetwise Stories viewers were middle-aged and elderly folks. Seeing my dumb comment, they instantly jumped in, lecturing me righteously. If you can get into Shanghai University or Beijing University, you should. Don't waste your future. With all that interaction, the TikTok algorithm kicked in. Soon, the official TikTok account of Willow and Makoto's school showed up too. In a cheeky tone, they replied under my comment, "I've made it." I finally appeared in the same frame as two elite universities. I quickly took a screenshot and sent it to Billy. Billy forwarded it to his buddy, Makoto's roommate. The roommate immediately submitted the screenshot anonymously to their school's gossip wall, with a caption that read, "Everyone, go check out Streetwise Stories' latest video and try to recognize who this genius is who single-handedly elevated our trash school to stand shoulder to shoulder with Tsinghua and Peking University. College students, when bored, live for this kind of petty chaos." Soon enough, the result I'd been aiming for was achieved. Chapter 6. Students at Willow and Makoto's university quickly dug up the fact that they were siblings from the same school. Then someone who knew about their relationship anonymously posted on the campus confession wall, revealing that Willow and Makoto were actually dating, as a couple. That was explosive. Absolutely forbidden territory. People who knew them started contacting them through every channel they could find, trying to confirm whether they really were in some taboo relationship. People who didn't know them tried every connection they had to get to know them. Of course, none of that social activity stopped anyone from cursing them out online. People were furious. If they were a couple, why did they lie to others? Why did they shamelessly ask for stuff, like a gaming laptop? A laptop that costs over 10 grand. How could they even ask? Willow and Makoto were instantly thrown into the firestorm of public outrage. Someone posted the entire scandal on TikTok, which drew in even more curious onlookers. But what I didn't expect was that the one who brought this whole spectacle to its peak was my good roommate, Bob. After everything blew up, Willow went crazy trying to contact me, but I'd already blocked her on all platforms. After hesitating for a full day, unable to withstand the public pressure, she showed up downstairs at my dorm building, wearing a mask and sunglasses. Naturally, I wasn't there. The only one in the dorm was Bob, who excitedly ran downstairs to meet her. Willow, tears streaming down her face, begged Bob to let her see me. Bob, trying to stay patient, told her I would never agree to meet her again, but if she had something to say, he could pass it along. Willow believed him. She started rambling about how innocent she was, how miserable her life was now, and begged me to come forward and clear things up. She said if I'd just say the street interview was a joke, and end all this, I could punish her however I wanted. Bob paused. Then it clicked. He realized what she was really saying. Willow wanted me to stand up and say I knew she and Makoto weren't actually siblings. Even better, she wanted me to say that I knew they were dating, but that I insisted on chasing her anyway. That way, they would come out clean, and I would become the sleazy creep everyone hated. Bob grinned, showing all 8 of his front teeth. Then, in a flash, he reached out and ripped off Willow's mask and sunglasses, and launched straight into rage mode. You bitch, do you even have any shame? You hid your relationship with Makoto from George, and now you want to pin it all on him. George treated you so damn well. Is this how a decent human being acts? You're screwing your own brother, fine, whatever. But you dated George for 2 years at the same time. What was that? Your brother's assignment? Just another part of your little 2-player scam to make him foot the bill? Bob's harsh words came down like a thunderstorm, loud and clear. It wasn't long before a crowd of students started to gather. More and more people joined in to watch. Someone even started recording Bob's furious rant on their phone. Bob shouted, "Pay him back, you fucking leech. That time you and your dear brother were having hot pot and George and I ran into you, you actually had the nerve to let George pay for your damn date. Your brother applied to the same grad advisor as George, right? The moment George's scores came out, someone reported him anonymously. That someone was you, wasn't it? But guess what? George is fine. He made it into the re-exam round with flying colors. Scored a 412. With George around, your brother can go spin a fidget spinner." As Bob kept spilling more and more juicy details, Willow panicked and fled the scene. The video was posted online, and the scandal exploded in popularity. All of this had nothing to do with me. I blocked out the outside world and focused solely on preparing for my re-exam. Billy only updated me with occasional gossip about Snake Willow and Makoto whenever I needed a laugh to relax. He said, "That shameless woman's internship office saw all the drama online and fired her. The dog of a guy can't sleep or eat, he's completely wrecked. In this state, his re-exam's doomed. My buddy said he was so sure you got disqualified that he felt confident he'd ace the re-exam, so he didn't apply for any backup options. Now that he wants to switch, it's too late." The day before the re-exam, I got a call from Anna. She said she wanted to see me one last time before the big day, and asked me to send her the address. I hesitated. Willow and Makoto were still the center of a raging storm online. If Anna came to see me and someone took a photo, what if it affected her? But Anna insisted. She said she had helped guide me this far, and at this final moment, she needed to see me walk into the exam room with her own eyes. She didn't want all her efforts to go to waste. Billy grabbed my phone and sent her our apartment's location without asking. He said, "This girl is 100 times better than Willow. That gold digger, she's coming to you on her own, and if you don't give it a chance, that's just rude." Well, since he'd already sent the location, refusing would be rude now. The next morning, I washed my face and rushed downstairs. Anna was already waiting. She handed me a sandwich and a hot Americano. Tilting her head, she said, "Eat up, you've still got time. After your re-exam, let's go celebrate with a big meal." I hadn't had breakfast, rushing around as I was, and for some reason, seeing that warm sandwich and hot Americano made me think of those 2 cold buns Snake Willow gave me the day after the hot pot incident. I quietly ate the sandwich and drank the coffee. Then we hailed a cab and headed straight for campus, with Anna by my side. My nerves calmed significantly on the way. When we got there, she handed me a folder. "I've packed everything you might need. If you suddenly realize you're missing something, check inside." She smiled brightly and added, "Go, you're going to pass. I'll wait for you outside." With her blessing, I walked into the exam hall. I did extremely well. When I came out, I saw a haggard-looking Makoto. He had come for the re-exam too. He spotted me and hesitated, as if he wanted to come over and talk. I smiled and said, "Wow, look who it is, our campus celebrity Makoto, showing up for the re-exam too. Huh?" Then I turned and walked away without giving him a chance. Makoto was wearing a mask and sunglasses. People weren't entirely sure if it was really him, until I shouted that. And just like that, they were sure. The pointing and murmuring started immediately. Makoto couldn't take the pressure, he bolted, and he ran even more pathetically than I did. Chapter 7. Just like she said, Anna was waiting outside. The moment I saw her, I took her out for a proper feast. 2 days later, I received the acceptance email. No surprise there. The grad school advisor I had been hoping for even added me on WeChat himself and personally welcomed me to his team. As for Makoto, naturally, he didn't pass. But at this point, not passing was the least of his problems. The scandal online had gotten way too big and had brought massive negative attention. Willow and Makoto's university decided to formally discipline them, even considering withholding their graduation certificates. Chuck also passed his re-exam. He and I invited Bob and Billy out for a celebratory meal. After dinner, Chuck would be leaving the city. We went out for hot pot. Billy, our rich second-gen friend, fought us for shrimp balls while casually sharing gossip he'd heard from his roommate Buddy. He said, apparently, Willow and Makoto are planning to issue a public apology online to calm things down. As long as public attention cools off, the school will go easier on them. But what's that got to do with me? Just because they apologize, I'm supposed to forgive them. What am I? A living bodhisattva? After dinner, we all packed up and went our separate ways. My parents had prepared a feast to celebrate. Like 18 dishes. Wasn't that a little too much? My dad said, Anna helped you a lot, and now that you've made it, of course we should invite her and her family over for dinner. Fair point. Before I could ask when they'd be coming, my grandma suddenly appeared and pulled me into a room like she was hiding state secrets. She whispered, that Anna girl, she's a real sweetheart. My dear grandson, why don't you go chase after her? Huh? Don't close your heart just because you got hurt before. There are still plenty of good girls out there. Anna's definitely a keeper. I even pulled some strings to check on her for you. I asked, what did the Bodhisattva say about it? She gave me a firm, 3-time nod. Good, good, good.